So Davinci Resolve 19.1 came out not too long ago, and for the most part, it's just a quality of life update, which means rather than focusing on like new exciting features, which there are a few of them, they mostly focused on improving the workflow in Davinci Resolve and making everything more streamlined and easier to use. And that includes some really, really cool updates to the audio side of things. We're going to talk about those today. And also we're going to go over something that I think really, really needs to be improved on the audio side of Davinci Resolve. But first, if you're new to this channel, if this is the first time you're ever watching it, hi, my name is Jay and I'm a video editor. Most of the work that I do is on the audio side of things. So here on this channel, I teach the audio side of Davinci Resolve. So if you are looking to make your videos sound better and you use Davinci Resolve, stick around, hang out, watch the video. If you like it, maybe give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, first things first, if you have not updated Davinci Resolve and you don't know how because you're brand new to Davinci Resolve, it's really, really easy. All you have to do is come up to where it says Davinci Resolve in the top left-hand corner, click on that, and go down to check for updates. And that little window will pop up and it'll either say your software is up to date if you have updated, or there will be a message that says a new version is available. It'll have a little button that you can click to download, and then it'll download and you install it like you install any other program and you're good to go. And in a stunning turn of events, we're actually going to start out in the edit page because there's some really cool updates to the audio side of things in the edit page, including the ability to access your dynamics and your EQ right in the edit page, which is really, really cool. Now, in order to do this, you're going to need to open up your mixer. This is what your mixer looks like. It's got all these faders and you're panning left and right. If you don't have your mixer open, all you have to do is come up to the top right of your screen and click on Mixer, and that will open it up or close it down, or that's how you access the mixer. And in your mixer, you'll see at the top you have FX, EQ, and DY. If you click on FX, and you come into the inspector, you'll see all of your track level effects right here. So you got voice isolation, dialogue leveler, dialogue separator, music remixer, and ducker. And if you come over and you double click on EQ, boom, look at that. You've got your EQ right there. And you guessed it, if you double click on dynamics, you've got your dynamics. Next up, we've got an update to the ducker. Now the ducker basically raises and lowers the volume of an audio signal based on the audio signal from a different source. And that's traditionally used in the case of ducking music against dialogue. So when the dialogue kicks in, the music gets lowered, and when the dialogue goes away, the music gets brought back up to its original spot. And I can't quite remember when the ducker was actually introduced to Davinci Resolve because I don't use it. I like having full manual control over my volume. I'm just weird like that. But I do know that when the ducker was first introduced, you could only choose one source to duck against. So if you had two dialogue tracks like I have here, dialogue 1 and dialogue 2, you would have to choose which one of these tracks you wanted to use as your source for the music to duck against. But now if we come over into our inspector, we're going to select our music track. We're going to come into our inspector and we're going to turn on the ducker. You'll see we've got source 1, dialogue 1, and we can choose whatever we want. We're going to keep it at dialogue 1. If we hit this plus button right here, we can now add another source, and we can keep adding sources. So whenever you have a source that you want to duck the music against or duck a sound effect against, you can do that here. And then if we want to take some of those sources away, we just hit the minus button. We're going to take our source 2. We're going to hit the drop down box. We're going to choose dialogue 2. We're going to put that duck level all the way up, and let's go ahead and hit our advanced section, and now we can tweak our settings. I've already played around with this just a little bit. We're going to bring our recovery, we're going to bring our hold all the way up just to make up for any pauses in the talking, because I know there's some. We're going to bring our rise time up because we don't want an abrupt level change. We want it to kind of go down and stay down and then come back up gradually. And now if we go all the way back to the beginning of our timeline and we hit play, you'll hear the music, and then it'll duck down against the dialogue, and then it'll come back up after the dialogue. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. And I am J number 2 because I am also too tired to come up with a better name. So there you go. That's what the Ducker does. Now you can add more sources to it. Pretty cool update. Okay, this next update is kind of weird. And I think most people who are, creators, people who make videos for the internet may not find much use for this except for in very specific scenarios. But you can now trim the volume of your channels individually on stereo tracks or any kind of multi-channel recording. So let me just show you because it's much easier to show you than to tell you about it. I've got my music track right here, and I've got one music clip here, and it's a stereo clip. It's got a left channel and a right channel. Now, normally, traditionally, if I wanted to adjust the volume, I could do that in the mixer, or I could select the clip and do it in the inspector, but I would be adjusting the left and the right channel by the same amount at the same time. Now, if I click on this file or this clip and I come into the inspector and I go to file and we come down, you see I've got my left and right channels, and I can select one and come down to level, and I can raise and lower level 1. And if I come over to the right channel, I can do the same thing. So like I said, in most cases, this isn't like too useful, but if you're working with like a surround sound track where you've got like multiple channels of audio, you can now trim all of those right there in the inspector. You also, a place where this would be really handy is if you're using something like this. This is the Deity D4 Duo. It's a really cool little vlogging mic that has 2 capsules on it. It's got front facing and rear facing. So if I had this on top of my camera and I was walking around, and let's say I was talking to somebody, I could actually clearly pick up my voice and their voice at the same time. And then when I brought that file into Davinci Resolve, you'd have, the front facing capsule recording on the left channel and the rear one on the right channel, and I could select that clip and go into the inspector and adjust the levels of those channels individually so that when we play it back, everything is going to be nice and level matched. It's actually a really, really cool little feature. By the way, this music and the sound effects and the stock footage is all from Artlist. It's where I get all of my music and sound effects and stock footage from. They also are today's sponsor. Now, you've heard me talk about Artlist before. They've got a huge library of assets that you can use to make your videos look better and sound better a lot faster. And when I say assets, I don't just mean stock footage and music and sound effects. I'm also talking about effects and templates and plugins and an AI voiceover tool and artboards to help you plan your videos. They're really just a one-stop shop for all of your video editing needs. They even have their own NLE. And recently, Artlist added LUTs to their offerings. And the way that they have their LUTs set up is super, super cool. I actually want to show this to you. So this is their LUTs page, and you can see they've got a bunch of LUTs to choose from. Now, traditionally, when you are shopping for LUTs, you're buying a whole pack at a time, and you're just kind of hoping and trusting that it's going to look good with the footage you shot. Artlist kind of takes care of that for you. Up here, they've got a bunch of sample footage. So I can look for a piece of footage that most closely resembles what I need to color grade. Like this one sort of kind of looks like my office. It's the closest thing to my office that I can find on here. So I'm going to select that, and it's going to reload all of the LUTs on that piece of footage so I can get a better idea of what my final look will be when I apply the LUT. It's really, really cool. Artlist has a plan for you no matter what kind of creator you are, and they even have plans with an unlimited license that allow you to use their assets wherever, whenever, on any project, and you have it forever. And Artlist has a holiday sale going on right now, so if you click the link in the description, not only will you get 2 months free on top of an annual subscription, you'll also get 10% off an Artlist Max subscription. So this is like a huge deal. It's the only sale they have all year. So make sure you click that link and take advantage of it. Thanks so much to Artlist for sponsoring this video and for continuing to support creators like me. And we're all done with the edit page updates. So let's move over to the Fairlight page and see what they've got going on over there. All right, first things first. Finally, we can disable our tracks in Fairlight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's really easy to do. You just need to come over to the track header on your timeline, right click and click disable track. Boom, there you go. And then you right click again and click it again and it'll re-enable. You can also do it from the mixer. So if you come over to your mixer and you come down to your track names down here and you right click, actually no, that's done up here. There you go, right here where it says A1, A2, A3, right click, disable track, boom, right click again, disable track, and it's back. Like I said, not a huge new feature, but a huge workflow improvement. Next, another really cool workflow improvement. We can now rearrange our audio tracks from the mixer. We used to have to do this from the index, and that was a big deal when that got added. But now we don't have to open up the index at all. We can just come into our mixer, come down, grab the dialogue name right here. So let's say I wanted to, or grab the track name. Let's say I wanted to make my music be below my sound effects. I just got to click and drag, boom, and now it's all rearranged. It's super, super cool. Also, we can duplicate tracks in the Fairlight page now, which is awesome. So if I wanted to double up on my helicopter sound effect or whatever, I could right click on the track header, hit duplicate track, and boom. And if I have any plugins or EQ settings or dynamic settings or automation or anything, everything's gonna get copied over. So this is actually a really, really good way to like A/B test different effects and different, compression settings and whatnot. I could just double up and then test things, and then whichever one I like better, I keep, and the other one I just delete. Really, really cool. Okay, this next one's big. We now have a new panel. It's called the Groups panel. You can find it up here in the top left where you have your effects panel and your media pool and your index. Now you have a Groups panel. If we click that, you'll see we've got groups. Now, grouping tracks is not a new thing in Davinci Resolve, but the Groups panel is. But just in case you've never played around with groups before, let me show you. Let's say I wanted to group all of my sound effects tracks together because I really, really like the way the sound effects are mixed together, but I need to be able to raise and lower the volume or tweak things to the overall sound effects group of tracks in order to fit them into the mix. It's really, really easy. All we need to do is come into our Groups panel over here in the top right. We'll click this little icon with the plus sign, and we can name this SFX. We can choose what controls we want in this group. So we'll say we want the fader for sure. Any automation, absolutely. And we'll say solo and mute. And then we can come down to group members and we will highlight city and chopper. And we'll press this little arrow. And now we've added our 2 sound effects tracks to our group, and we hit save. And now if I select this group, now I've selected my sound effects tracks. And if I come over here to the mixer and I start, you'll see these are at different levels, but if I click on one of the faders and I start bringing them up and down, you'll see that the faders are moving together. So I don't lose the dynamic difference between the groups. I can just push that group wherever I want it all at the same time. This is like a huge, huge deal. I don't have to worry about creating different buses. I may want to do that anyway if I want to add effects to an entire group. But if I don't, if I just need this for automation or fading or soloing and muting, then groups is the perfect way to do that. So, like I said, we've got some really, really cool updates on the audio side of Davinci Resolve, which is lovely to see because for a long time, the Fairlight page was kind of ignored when these big updates came out and you didn't get a lot. And then they started doing more, especially with the neural engine stuff. And you got the voice isolation and the dialogue leveler and all that stuff. And now we're getting kind of these incremental quality of life updates to Fairlight, which I really, really like. But there's something missing. I told you we were going to talk about something missing, and that has to do with EQ. There has been no updates to the EQ, which is kind of maddening. So let's open up our EQ. I'm going to tell you what I would love to see. So here's our EQ. It's a basic parametric EQ. We've got 6 bands total that we can work with, but sometimes we're going to need more bands than this. Not in a lot of cases, but there are some times that we would need more bands. So I would like to see the ability to add, I don't know, maybe 2 more bands. Let's make this an 8-band EQ so we have a little bit more to work with. With an 8-band EQ, you can do a lot of stuff. And the other thing that I would love to see with the EQ in Davinci Resolve is the ability to make any of these bands dynamic. If this was a dynamic EQ, it would be a total game changer. Dynamic EQs, for anybody who doesn't know, is an EQ that kind of works like a compressor. Once a signal hits a certain threshold, a dynamic EQ will push a specific band up or down. So this is really good when you want to make adjustments, but you don't need those adjustments to be there all the time. So there are 2 main places that I would use this. One is on dialogue. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Let's close out of our EQ, and we're actually going to open up our effects panel, and I'm going to add a dynamic EQ. Actually, let me reset this EQ here so I don't screw anything up. I am going to add a dynamic EQ to my dialogue track. Drag that on to dialogue 1. We're actually going to mute dialogue 2 here. And let's say I was at the phase of my editing where I'm looking for like some serious harsh frequencies to cut, right? But maybe they're not harsh all the time, so I just want to be able to knock them down when they get too harsh. I know around between 500 and 1K hertz, I tend to get a little bit whistly, so I'm going to grab this band 4 here, and I am going to increase my Q and my gain, and I'm just going to, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loop this dialogue here, and I'm going to hunt for that frequency, and then we're going to take care of it with the dynamic EQ. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. So, okay, right there, 728. It's not always whistly, but it does get very whistly. So now we're just going to bring our gain back down to 0. We're going to bring our range down all the way to minus 18. That way we're cutting it to the max amount. And we're going to start, first attack and release. We're going to do a fast attack and a fast release. Actually, we do kind of a slower release like we would with a compressor, medium to slow. And then we're going to widen our Q just a little bit. And now when we play, you're going to see that this band gets cut. As we adjust our threshold, that band is going to get cut as that frequency gets a little bit too harsh. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. So here I am talking, and So here you go. That's one use for a dynamic EQ. I would love to see this built into the basic EQ in Davinci Resolve. Another place that you can use this, and I highly suggest you use it, is on your music track. We do duck our music, right, to make room for the dialogue, but sometimes, even though we've ducked it, that music is still distracting, and then you get all the hate comments in your comment section saying that the music's too loud when it's not actually too loud. It's it's just fighting for space with the music. And one of the best ways to take care of that is to cut your 1K frequency in your music while the dialogue is going on. And a dynamic EQ can make it so it cuts that 1K frequency when the dialogue is going, but when the dialogue goes away, that cut goes away. Let me show you. Let's go ahead and add our dynamic EQ to our music track. Once again, we're going to choose band number 4 because that's already at the 1K frequency. We're going to bring the threshold all the way down. We're going to bring the range all the way down. We're going to bring the attack all the way down. Release, we'll keep it right at that midway point. And then we're going to set up sidechaining because we can do sidechaining now on plugins, which is super, super cool. We're going to turn that on. We're going to listen to dialogue 1 and come down, make sure we're listening to an external source. And now when we play, it's going to duck when we start talking and come back up when we're not talking. And also that 1K frequency is going to get cut while we're talking, and it's going to come back up when we're not talking. So here I am talking, and I am J number 1 because I'm too tired to come up with a better name. See, it's great. It carves out the space in the music for your dialogue, but it's not cut the entire time. Normally you would have to automate that, but now with the dynamic EQ, you wouldn't have to. So can we please make the EQ in Davinci Resolve a dynamic EQ, please? If you're interested in getting your hands on a dynamic EQ, this is called the F6 dynamic EQ. It's from Waves Audio, which is like my go-to place for music plugins and just audio plugins in general. And it will be linked below. You should go pick it out because it's amazing. It's super easy to use and it's really, really helpful. We also didn't get any updates to the dynamics panel, which is fine. That just means that my deep dive into the dynamics panel is still valid. So go ahead and check that out right here. And until next time, don't forget to go out and make stuff. Thanks for watching.